Welcome back to the Narrative Club. On today's episode, I will have wrongly convicted Chamar Avery and his daughter Shekinah Stacy talking about his wrongly convicted crime and how it was when he was convicted at a young age of a crime he did not commit. Welcome to the Narrative Club. I'm so glad to have you come in today and speak about your wrongly conviction, the process of it, the afterlife of it, and where you're at today. And thank you for bringing Shakinah, your daughter, to sit and talk about her side of how she feels on your behalf.
Thanks for having us. What's up? Look,
It's her.
she ain't gonna be able to do it. You ain't gonna be able to do this though?
You know it's her. Did you see her shot? I can edit that out. That was fine.
I don't think you're gonna be able to edit her face unless
Did you see her face?
Especially if I believe we're in the
I
same
can't
shot,
see
Tasha.
like-
So I don't think you're gonna be able. If I'm saying something, you're in.
No, I said the laughing part. I don't care about her face, but
I don't know where to look. Like, look at you, look at...
Oh yeah, just look straight at her.
Oh, yeah, you
we
can
all
watch
turn
her.
it.
Alright, you
We
want
just look as comfortable.
straight
as
top and
possible.
do an intro.
Huh?
You can introduce everybody.
She gotta
Do it like that.
take all the extra shit, you know.
Yeah. Alrighty. Welcome to the Narrative Club. On today's topic, I'm talking about wrongly convicted felons. And I have Chamar Avery and his daughter Shekinah Stacy talking about how he was wrongly convicted at the age of 18 and he served 8.5 years for a crime that he did not commit. Can you give me a little feedback and tell me about yourself? Go first, Chamar.
Yeah, my name is Chamar Avery. Yep, I was wrongly convicted here in Michigan. I did 8.5 years for a murder that I didn't commit, and the truth came out. I'm home. I'm happy.
So during your, how old was you when you were wrongly convicted?
I was 17, 18 years old. I turned 18 fighting a case.
And where you put, so when you were wrongly convicted for a crime, how did it go so left where you was involved or got committed into this?
It was a white kid in our neighborhood that got killed, and they was randomly just locking everybody up on our block. And it was pretty much shit. They had a couple of us in the room at one time. They tricked one guy to sign a statement implicating us in it. They coerced him into signing a statement, which led to them charging 3 of us and convicting 3 of us for the crime. And there's one guy still in there. The other, he finished his 17.5-year sentence on. Well, he was still convicted, but I know he was wrongly convicted. And through God's grace, I was able to learn a little bit about the law, learn how to help my lawyers with fighting my appeal, and I was able to get a case back.
So when your case first started, they didn't, how was it that they missed something?
It wasn't nothing they missed. I mean, they lied. It wasn't nothing they missed. They lied. They created a case. They knew they didn't have a case. I wasn't wrongfully convicted because they accidentally made a mistake. No, they literally lied. They made the lady come and point us out just to fix the situation. They created a story, and they lied.
So because basically 17 is still minor, right?
No, not about the state. You
Not
wrong.
about the
Yeah,
state.
you adult.
Well, because you was 18,
Right.
you say you was 17, and then you turned 18 before. But was it still juvenile?
Well, here in Michigan, if in the commission of a felony, you get charged as an adult. So in Michigan, you're an adult. It was 13, 14-year-old kids in the prison where I was at, serving life in prison.
So what were you actually charged with?
Murder.
And what was that sentence?
Felony. Well, it was felony murder because it happened in the commission of they was robbing a guy when they killed him. So it was felony murder.
Okay, what was that? What sentence was you given now?
20 to 50 years for second-degree murder.
20 to 50 years. And so when you first went in, because basically you're still a kid mindset. So when they put you it wasn't a juvenile center. You went straight to adult prison?
Yeah, well, no, I went to juvenile prison. I went to adult jail. Yeah, I was in regular adult jail, county jail. Then I went from the county jail, and I went to juvenile prison. Quarantine part was juvenile. Yeah, my initial, I guess, approach to prison was juvenile. Yeah, because I went to juvenile quarantine and then juvenile prison at first, which was a private facility. Then they sent me to MDOC, which was adult prison, when I turned 20.
So what was that mindset at that guilty charge? Like when you first, because I know when you went into the whole thing and you know, okay, I know I'm innocent. So when you found out, when you heard the verdict that guilty, what was going through your mind at the time?
Man, I didn't know what to expect really. I just knew that I didn't do what they had me in that courtroom saying I did, and at that moment, did nothing. I was kind of numb. I did not, because I ain't gonna lie, it didn't sink in to really years. Like after I was into the situation, it still hadn't sunk in. Like I still thought I was gonna wake up and still be at home, but day after day, yeah, you ain't going home. But I can't really say where my mindset was, because it was one of the heaviest situations I ever been in. I was really lost. I was more worried about my family. I was more worried about those around me. I still didn't really take in how serious the situation was. Like I said, until I was damn near like years in. And sometimes I just tried my best to stay optimistic, like my grandmother always taught me. And I tried, because I got lost in like greed, and I got lost in trying to keep optimistic mindset going on, that eventually the truth gonna come out and I'm gonna come home.
So when did you start to actually say, hey, let me pick up a law book and fight for my case?
Instantly. When that bars closed and I knew I wanted to go home, just go home and use the bathroom instantly. Like when the detective was asking me what I did, and I just kept telling the detective in layman terms I didn't do nothing. And at that point, instantly I needed to know some type of law, and I ain't had no money for no lawyer, and I didn't know nobody who did.
So you knew you had to learn basically for yourself.
For sure.
In order to free yourself.
And instantly you meet people in there in jail, like I said, even in the county jail, it's like people before you are going through this. So and it's like, all right, people will teach you a lot of things. And even being in that situation, you'll meet a lot of people. Like instantly, as soon as I got in there, I instantly met people that was studying law and like trying to stay away from a lot of the chaos. So, because as you dealing with a lot of people that's violent, volatile, and you're on a rock with 10, 11 people that's fighting murders as well as you, and everybody got something going on every day. So it ain't just all about what's going on with your situation. It's people around here that's moving in a mindset that even if you don't make it home from the situation you going to, this nigga may kill you about whatever his situation is. So a lot of that kept me focused on what I had to stay focused on to get that key to get this door back open, because it wasn't coming from nowhere else.
Like I say, because I know 17, 18 is young, and as they putting you in there with actual murderers. So when you first entered to actual prison, and you still couldn't baffle the fact that you were wrongly convicted, but you had to go into survival mode, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So how was it actually that bus ride that you realized, like, hey, this is really real. It ain't the ride home I thought I was gonna get. Now I'm in here with tons of people I don't know, tons of people I don't trust. Because at this point, I know your trust got to be a little bit broken.
I mean, it's just like you just said. You just said it all in a nutshell. Survival mode. At some point, it instantly kicks in regardless. And as a culture, I think we pick up that just at a natural instinct, just culturally. So you adapt. I mean, you gotta adapt, and you gotta adapt the best way you can to stay sane.
What was the hardest part?
The hardest part. The hardest part, family, being detached from what you know and what you're accustomed to, because life itself is about to change. It changed. Everything is different. Like I said, you're around a bunch of volatile people. You ain't at church. You ain't in the backyard at the school playground with a bunch of people that want to. That right. You're there with a lot of people that were sent there for a reason, for making decisions in their life, and they gotta live with it. So I mean, you're dealing with a lot of people that has a lot of testosterone built up, and shit, niggas angry. So you gotta, like I said, you said it perfectly. You gotta learn how to survive, and the best way you can, and you gotta stay focused. You gotta know. Like I said, my main focus was finding a key to get that door back open by any means, whether it was in a book or whether it was just wherever I had to get that information from. I was looking for that information.
So when you had the valuable information and you realized, well, you knew you was wrongly convicted from the gate because you know you didn't commit the crime. But what actual piece of information was it that stuck out that you know you needed?
The biggest, I think the biggest, and honestly, once I learned that as well, which it wasn't easy for me to accept that part neither, because being wrongfully convicted, it kind of doesn't matter in the judicial eye. Once you found guilty, you found guilty. It don't matter about nothing else. Now it's about learning the legal way and trying to reverse this decision that they made in this courtroom, because the court system just don't work like that. It don't work to where you can say, all right, I didn't do it. Or once you're found guilty of something, you can't just like go knock at somebody's door and end up back in the courtroom. This is a state with a very huge judicial system. So like I said, I was blessed to even get back in the appellate courts as fast as I was, and for my situation to even be overturned the way it was, because it's people that have been sitting there 20, 30 years that I had personally met and shaking their hands, and they've been in these law libraries working just as hard on trying to find the issues and just the right words, or the you know what I'm saying, that to get their case even looked at, and it don't come easily. I'm very blessed in that manner, and so that was one of the hardest things, that I had to bite that pill. You around a lot of people that saying the same thing that you say, I'm innocent, and me knowing I really didn't do nothing, but at this point,
sitting there 20 years.
So it's a possibility I may spend the rest of my life repeating this same thing if I don't change something about what I gotta do. That I'm watching these people that's telling me they got a 20-year experience, that they're still sitting here trying to get somebody to hear what because we can say it all day, but if it don't fall in the right ears or fall in the right person that actually care, you about to be in this place for a long time. And this place don't care about individuals. It don't, so.
But when that 20 to 50 year sentence set in, it didn't make you angry, or
it never set in.
It never set in.
I did my best not to. It never set in. I never looked at it.
Never thought of it as me spending 20 years.
Even if it would have took me 20 years, I never in my life. I prayed on trying to humble myself enough where I never looked at that 20 years. I never wanted to accept that 20 years. I knew I wasn't gonna do them 20 years.
So, and okay, because I have Shekinah here, and she wasn't even born.
She was born in the process of while I was fighting the case.
Okay, so you knew you had that as well, so that made you fight even more.
She was my reason of knowing I had a reason that I got a reason to be free. I got purpose to be here on earth. So I knew, and like I said, because you gotta when you in prison, you gotta focus on in prison. It's kind of hard to focus on anything out here in the free world while you're in there, because you can't. There's nothing you can do about nothing out here but stress about it. It ain't much you can do. Life goes on this side of the gate. So like I said, it's you have to adapt. It's a lot of things that you try your best where you can't. It gives you reason for living, but it can't be your train of thought for the day. It'll drive you crazy. So I never met her, so I had to get to her. So I had that was my reason for reading That was my reason for humbling myself. That was my reason for learning certain things because I had to get back to her. And when I got to her, I owed her something. I owed her an image of life. I owed her something to look forward to. I owed her something to believe in. So I had to invest that in myself. So and I used that time for that. And that was my way of staying focused. That was my way of staying sane. And it pretty much, to me, it worked because, like I said, I was blessed. I was blessed all the way around. I ended up running, and when I focused on certain things, I ended up hearing certain laws that end up just falling in the lap of lawyers that was cool because I didn't have no money to get a lawyer. She came through, however God sent her to me, through SATO, which is a free public defender program that they got in Michigan and throughout, I guess, every judicial state has somewhere where you can sign up for a public defender, which they don't do a lot of work. So it's where you got to still learn this legal term and help with, because we only know what happened in our own life. People like, so them, even with my lawyer, and she used to always tell me, if you don't really know how to help your lawyer fix a situation, they can go by what they read in law terms, but it takes us to really put that extra energy into your own situation, and that's pretty much what I tried to focus on and what got me
back home.
Yeah.
How many years did you actually serve?
8 years, 7 months.
So, tell me about that last day that you actually found out that you would be let go. Whatever terms, because I know by that 8 years and 7 months, you done got probably in a routine of this lifestyle now versus the lifestyle you had before. Because now you're, 20?
When I was in there,
your day got coming out.
26.
26 years old versus going in as 18-year-old.
Oh, no, at 26, I was a seasoned inmate. At 26. At 26, I was an old head in prison. I mean, seriously.
So 26 is old in prison?
You're there to 10 years in prison. Your whole mentality. I didn't think, like, I still do it sometimes to this day. I don't get too close to people. Like, I'm talking about in distance. I won't, because in arm reach, a person can stab the hell out you for whatever reason. So you walk at a certain distance from people. Certain things that I notice people may do out here versus in there, which I know, and I'll be trying to tell a lot. I definitely install a lot of them ways in a lot of my youth and a lot of my little friends and stuff. You learn in there to stay away from friction. You learn real easy how to avoid a lot of bold energy, a lot of because you learn to keep your distance from people. You learn to keep in a lot of different ways because you always on attack. You always on protection mode from being attacked. From the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep, this is your train of thought. There is no comfortability to be nothing else. Because this is what everybody's mentality is all day walking around this place. So you have to think in every way that you think, all them thoughts have to be defensive. So even if you're going to get something to eat, you have to think of a strategic way to make it from your cell to that child hall and back to your cell with no problems. And if you really want to be, and to me, I apply that to life, period, because it ain't just in there. I want to make it to the corner store and back home. So I applied it the same way, but you don't get too close to a person. You don't smile too much at, then that ain't no purpose. Get to know this next individual for what? Then you got to start learning what purpose do he even want to get to know you. Because he said hi to you for a reason, said what up. He had a motive.
So as a 26 seasoned inmate, what day was you released from prison?
May 13th.
On May 13th. What was that day like? You just regular day? How did they just come to this conclusion? Did you have to go to court?
Oh no. Well, after the federal courts overturned my conviction, they gave the general attorney 180 days to either retry me or release me, and they released me. I didn't know nothing about me being released, and hell, shit, it was the best day of my life. It was like shit. I can't even explain it. There's really no words that I can put that can equal what I felt at that moment. But I'll share the story with you. I mean, I was
That's what we here for, so you can share the story.
I'm gonna share the story with you. But I can't tell you how excited I was. It was like a feeling that was, I can't explain it, but the situation. They called, I was working in the kitchen up north at Straight, so I got sent up north. I got in trouble at the other facility, but I was working in the kitchen, and they called me up front, the ADW, the assistant warden. And when she called me in her office, I thought I was in trouble again, but she sat me down and she looked me in my eyes. She told me that she had never been in this situation before, but she had been contacted to release me. I was no longer an MDOC inmate, and I can call my mom, or I can wait for the first thing smoking. Then they was gonna give me a ticket on the bus the next morning, and it was crazy because when I looked back, the whole staff was behind me, clapping and crying. I didn't even hear them, or even, I was so, because when she got to talking, I swear, like, I had to snap myself back in reality. Last thing I heard was, I'm no longer a who? An MDOC. That's all.
I'm being scared I'm gonna be in trouble. Nah, I ain't part of them.
I'm no longer in. That's all I heard. I'm no longer an MDOC inmate. And that's the words that I've been waiting to hear, like, the whole nightmare, the whole time I was going through what I was going through. And like I said, I look back, the whole staff, they was crying and everything. They let me, they escorted me back to my pod, because at that time I was like a nine-man cube. And when they escorted me back, my homeboys that I had, they was ready to tear the joint up. Like, actually, because we all thought they was trying to set me up again. I had everybody ready to fight the COs.
Like to create a war?
Because listen,
Because you done got adapted to
and
life.
I got in trouble like this before. Yeah, I had just did damn near a year in the hole and got sent up north for this, because I got in trouble, and they lied to me again. And I wasn't about to go through that. I was fed up. So yeah, but and yeah, but that's how it happened. That's how I was released. And I called my mom, and her brother and my sister came and picked me up.
So, but it's like, because I don't know how I go actually. I don't know how the process of it is when you're wrongly convicted. So when you're wrongly convicted, because I would think is, wrongly conviction is, oops, we fucked up somewhere. That's how I would think it. Or oops, I apologize. Or oops, we made a mistake.
Even after my release, I looked for help I signed up with trying to go back to school. At that point, I realized a lot of things that I learned. A lot of things with self. I didn't even know how to fill out a job application. I didn't know how to fill out a school, how to apply for school. And there's no programs for us honorees here. There's no systems. Like, even when you come home on parole, you come home to an agent to go knock at their door. Anything you need help with getting set in life, they help you. Even with getting job placements, there's even systems that they argue with companies for not hiring felons. I'm not a felon. Like, even when I was going to fill out an application, is that gap in your life for the last 8 years where you lived at it, you have to answer the truth. It's no explaining that. They don't want to. They don't. And so at that moment, I still carry, I carry the weight of being a felon. So
well, no, actually, you don't carry the weight of being a felon, because at the end of the day, they offer felons more than they offer wrong convicted felons.
Yeah.
Because a felon has paperwork that they can, basically when you was going out to fill out stuff, you was invisible.
When I said the weight of it, I meant because when you talk to a lot of people in our culture that have been through what I've been through, they feel like in this point in time, it's hard for people to get a lot of help or get guidance in certain areas because of their decisions in life. Because a lot of people that went through what I've been through made certain decisions. So when people or when organizations or places in life treat them as such, they carry certain weights where when they are my age in life, they feel it's okay to, it's hard for job placement for African American that's 30 years old. It's hard. If you don't have a job by the time it's hard. But a person shouldn't think like that never did nothing. So that's why I said I carry the weight of a felon. Because, yeah, in that manner, yeah, it's hard as hell for a person who has this gap in their life that have to explain this to everywhere they go. Yeah, even in situations where, like nowadays, if I may, and Lord forbid, I try to stay out of trouble. But if I was to get pulled over, or I went to, I had to go to jail a couple years ago for a traffic violation, and when it came time for me to be released after doing a couple months I had to do in jail for the traffic violation, they brought up my whole situation where I was wrongfully convicted. I had to spend an extra 48 hours locked up, and I had to spend an extra $1,000 on having my attorney go get that paperwork for me to be released.
So you still was fighting a case.
I still deal with this. To this day, everything I do, I still deal with it.
And there's no programs put in place.
Not here. No, not
There's no counseling.
Not definitely not that the state like provide. I don't even know none that you can pay for. I haven't found none.
So, tell me about when you did your 8 years, and at this time, now she's 8.5. That's your fight. You had. I gotta get to meet her. How was that day when you actually got to meet that fight? That's what you was fighting for. That's what you had to get. Like I got
the day I got to meet her was the next best day of my life. It was a great moment. I mean, it was great.
So what explaining to her, because at 8, kind of young, she ain't gonna understand. Like, hey, I did this. But actually having to sit down to my 8-year-old kid, like, hey, I ain't been on vacation.
No, but at this point, like I said, just going through what I had to go through to get to the point of actually getting in front of her. Like, she don't, and she would never, and know like what the journey. It ain't for her to know. So I do my best, and I try my best to pray for just humble thoughts on everything I say before I say it in front of her, even now, because it's still feeding that flower, it's watering that flower that I still want an image of, like I said, something to grow from. So I don't even want, so yeah, to me it was just an awesome moment. I tried to make the moment as pure as possible and the best I can. I just wanted from that day for us to grow a bond and a relationship that can last forever, however it turned out. Because I know no journey come like with no fight or nothing like that. So I just knew that from the first day, I just want day 1,000 just to be as awesome as the first day.
For Shakinah, how was that day for you now, as well?
I thought it was a joke, honestly, because I didn't know about him. So leading up, my mom growing up always just played practical jokes on me. So the entire time I thought it was a joke. Like, even when we went to the mall, because I met him, that was the first time meeting him at a mall, and I still thought it was a joke. Like, I was just like, somebody is about to pop out with a camera and tell me I'm on Punk'd or some type of TV show. And I was just like, this is, because I've heard about, well, of course this was 2008. It wasn't movies, it wasn't publicity, it wasn't news reports of black young men being wrongfully convicted, especially being 8. Even if it was, I wasn't being told about it. The narrative that I was always associated with people going to jail was for something that they did. I didn't even know it was a possibility at 8 for somebody to be held in prison for that long for something that they didn't do. I didn't know anything about the judicial system or anything like that. So even being explained to it as my mom was explaining it to me, I didn't understand it. So honestly, I didn't believe it. Reality really didn't set in for me. I didn't know how to really navigate it or understand it.
So as being because y'all are not the only people that this happens to.
Right.
So if you was to meet someone out on the street and they had a similar, and they wouldn't know how to take it, what would you be able to?
My experience, even with having a parent that was incarcerated, is different. Like I said, because throughout those 8 years, I didn't have days where I was like, oh, I miss my dad and I can't see him because I didn't know him. I didn't know he existed. So where their experience might be, they had days where they wanted to go see them and couldn't, or it was a birthday that they missed them and they couldn't see them, or they got to call them or visit them. I didn't have that experience. So I probably wouldn't really know how to navigate that. Their experience would be a lot different than mine. So I haven't met anybody that, went through that, but I can imagine our experiences being different and our feelings about it being different, like I said, because I didn't experience having an imprisoned parent like most people do. So.
But you do understand the wrongly convicted part of it.
Right.
Like, even when it's like, okay, like I said, if you meet somebody on the street, like, hey, I can't tell you that experience,
right.
But I can tell you, your dad'd be great, cause mine, I don't know his mental state, but hey, cause he don't share that with me, but he a pretty good dude, huh?
Yeah.
So, even at this level, cause it's what, is it 2008, we're in 2020.
This would be the year. This would be the year I would have came home. This would be the very first year I would be free if I would have had to serve.
And the whole time while you was in there, you just knew you was missing prom, graduation, a whole lot, basically, like her whole entire life.
I mean, a lot that I didn't get to experience.
Yeah, because you was locked up at senior time and prime time, and you was able to witness all that with her. Prom and senior.
Dream come true.
In that moment, like, cause y'all had a relationship since she was 8 now, so it's like, all kind of graduation.
Yeah, I done had a lot of dream come trues.
But do that wrongly conviction still weigh heavy on you?
I don't allow it. It do, but I don't allow. I try my best. Like I say, I pray every moment, and I think everybody, because everything we go through builds a lot of mental illness, especially us as a culture. We build a lot of mental illness, especially by the time we get a lot of age. People see a lot of trauma, especially like nowadays. I think a lot of our public see more trauma and see more things than we did back then, especially due to like these phones, social media and stuff, the volatile ways, and to think like they see people get shot in the face like it's normal, or they see a lot of people make a lot of like personal decisions that they wouldn't see unless they experienced a lot of like personal life like that. So I like I said, I think everybody should try to really learn how to like pray for humble thoughts and optimistic, like pray for them, pray to be if the best way you can, because it's so much toxic thoughts, it's so much toxic energy, it's so much stuff to just take you in that direction that you gotta fill yourself up with as much happy thoughts as you can, dealing with stuff that we deal with and stuff that we see. And I pray on that. I try hard, and even now I try to tend to humble thoughts, cause if I don't, yeah, you're right, yeah, it weigh on me.
Well, now you have she's 20.
Mm-hmm.
So that graduation, that prom, I know, like you said, was that the third best day? The third best day, or was the moment you realized, like, hey, this is what I fought for, just to be able to see my baby walk across the stage, enjoy life with her, though. Something that you work hard for, and not knowing, like, okay, 10 years ago, I wasn't even promised this moment. Not even in this chance or second, just second wind of it, or just watching my daughter grow. And because I know that still have to weigh heavy, because I don't like to be said I did anything I didn't do, let alone happen to be away from my family. So how would you feel like she said she wouldn't be able to relate to somebody because, like I said, at 8 years, I didn't know. You know, I just know how I'll be able to say, hey, I know that your parent can probably bounce back from this because mine did, but I can't tell you that void that you felt. But how would you be able to help? Because like you said, there's no one here to help wrongly convicted people because obviously the courts don't even think enough to help, even tell you that they messed up.
I would just give anybody, like I just said, the best advice on the best way they can, and all our walks through mud end up different. Everybody travels be different. You know what I'm saying? It be different. So I don't think I would put my weight no heavier than the next person's weight. So I would share my story with them I would pray that they wouldn't take my situation and even look at it as no harsher than their situation as well. So take the pain and make it work. Take everything and make it work. I mean, it happened how it happened. We can't crawl over spilled milk no more. And the more you let it weigh on you, the more you miss out on what can be tomorrow, what your next step can be, your next thought. So like I said, I pray for optimistic thoughts. I pray not to let nothing that I can't control bother me too much. And my grandmother has always installed that in me. What God's got for you, He got for you. So I think it's the manner that we take what's ours and what we do with it. The same thing that I went through, it can hold me up for the next 50 years, or it can help me for the next 100 years. I pray on it, letting it help me. So like I said, certain things I do, certain ways that I try to have certain thoughts or certain conversations, I try to do them in a manner where it'll give her that same humble thoughts, because she have her chaos to deal with in her path in life too. And when she do have to deal with certain things, I don't want her to waste too much time on spilled milk neither. I don't want to look up and see her with same mental illness that I see a lot of our culture deal with. One thing I learned while I was locked up, that it's a lot of people that's locked up, and they way more freer than people that's out here that think they're free. I don't want that for her or nobody else around me. So, like I said, I try to practice on them humble thoughts and whatever they went through. Because like you said, it is a lot of people that goes through that out here. And y'all path is what y'all path is, so focus on y'all future. Focus on y'all now and y'all tomorrow. You can't dwell on what just happened. Yeah, you can't let it hinder you too much.
So how is your faith in the judicial system?
The justice system? Ain't no faith in the justice system. It is what it is. And it was built for the purpose of it. And that's my opinion. The justice system was created for the justice system. It wasn't created for us it was never. Anytime you take a human and chain them up or put them in a cage, I mean, it wasn't built for us to understand. It was built for its purpose. And honestly, it's been doing it for a long time. It's been serving its purpose, and it's been very successful, even financially. So, I mean, it's a psychological situation that it does what it do to people like it's supposed to. And business-wise here, they done made a great business out of the justice system. And I believe the more that we teach us and teach our people the lineage of law, that we understand the justice system and its purpose even more.
Shakinah, how do you feel about the justice system?
I just, like you said, it's doing what it was built to do, which is oppress.
Do you have faith in it though?
No.
Yeah. This has been a very great interview. I know it had to be a hard, like I say, I don't want to be convicted of stealing nobody's gun, let alone being convicted of a crime I didn't commit, especially as murder, especially as being 18, and because basically like that, I never been in prison. I just skipped a little school sometime and got a little bullpen it called, I guess. But to be locked away from society and, not be able to be with your loved ones and have a kid and not be able to see her. So I really appreciate you sitting down and just giving the world, with my narrative, when you reach the world yet, a piece of who Chamar Avery is. Because who is Chamar Avery today, versus inmate, whatever he was then. Who is Chamar Avery today? How did he overcome his wrongful conviction? So I thank y'all for coming. I have another segment with Chamar and what he does now, besides his wanting convicted. But we thank y'all for coming and sharing our story on there.
Thanks for having us.